Hi guys, it's Beth and welcome to Bourbon Creek Crafts. I can't believe it is already the beginning of October. This year has just flown by, but because it is the beginning of October, it means that there is a new sheetload of card sketch from Call Me Crafty Owl. So Alicia at Call Me Crafty Owl puts together a card sketch and supply and cut list every month, and there is a collaboration team that we share how we used the Sheetload sketch on the second of the month every month. So this month's sketch is special because it was actually inspired by one of our team members. And so that was Creative Chelsea. And Alicia saw a card that Chelsea made and was inspired, and so made the sketch off of Chelsea's original design. This month's Sheetload makes 10 cards. So I did something a little bit different this month. Normally I, will start a new pad or just cut into some full-size sheets to make my Sheetload. But this month I have been working on this Recollections pad, and it was one from 2012. And you can see that I got it on clearance because it was even marked down to $6.99, and then I think everything was 90% off, and I even got it for $3.99. So that was amazing price. But I've been working on it this month, and I want to get it off of my table. Like, I want to kind of finish this up. So I actually went through all of these scraps. Like, I only have one full sheet of this paper left, and I already have something that I know I want to do with that. So I went through all of my scraps from this paper, kind of sorted them out by size, and then picked out, kind of separated out the ones that were big enough to make these panels here on the sketch. And then once I did that, I cut them down and tore them. And so my cards are not, each card is different this month. So there's no, usually you may have two patterns that kind of mix and match throughout the batch, but these are all different. And instead of the element here and the separate sentiment, I had the pad included a whole bunch of these label cut outs, that I fussy cut out of one of the patterns. And so I was also trying to use those up. So I have some black cardstock kind of as my mat here, and I did make my mat 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, so it's just a smaller white border. And then, like I said, I just mixed and matched two patterns, and I did tear them. And then on most of them, I did bring in this kind of ribbon element that's behind the focal point here. I did bring that in, and you'll see in some cases it might be a continuous piece of cardstock. Sometimes I didn't have a strip that long of the color I wanted to use, so I kind of pieced it together. And sometimes my focal element here was too big, and I didn't think it needed it at all. So on this particular label, it might be hard to read, but I did stamp Happy Halloween and then added a couple of bats in the circle there. And then I felt like a lot of them needed a little more pop of color. Like some of them, the only color was maybe in this little ribbon strip back here, ribbon-like strip. So I did go through and bring in some little cardstock circles to act as like enamel dots or something, just to add some more interest and an extra pop of color. The inside, each one does have a scrap of paper. Here is the next one. This is one of those where I kind of took the little strips and pieced them together. This is another label where I did the same thing, stamped Happy Halloween and the bats. This one I stamped Happy Halloween, and then I brought in a pumpkin stamp that I colored up, just again add some color, and then those bats. And this was one of those where the label was so big I didn't think I needed the element, the strip behind it. This one I just stamped Best Witches because it was one of the smaller Halloween sentiment stamps I had, because this was kind of a smaller label. So it was the only one that fit. So at least I did have some like witch paper that I could put it with. And then I stamped a bat here, and then I had stamped a star, and I didn't pay attention to the fact that the star had a smiley face, and I didn't pay attention to the fact that I was stamping the smiley face upside down. So I just covered that up with a little cardstock star. So this one, I did not add that like ribbon-like element behind it, but I had one of these like scrolly strips. Then I just stamped my sentiment on there. I used Best Witches again, and I had this little cut apart or cut out piece that I added to go with the sentiment and with the witch themed paper. Here again is one of those big ones with the pumpkin and the bats. So this is another one that was big enough. I didn't think it needed that strip behind it. And this one, again, I just went with the Happy Halloween and the bats. This one, I did not put the strip behind it either. And I did the Happy Halloween. I think I used on all of them that it would fit. This one, I just did 3 bats. This one was a smaller label, so I did add the purple strips behind it. Here's another one of those darker labels. So these are my 10 cards, and they did make a difference in the scraps that I had left from this pad. So my point is that Alicia's sketches are so versatile, and she does give you dimensions each time on if you just wanted to make a single card. So that's kind of what I used this time to find the different pieces that I needed for these cards out of my scraps. So you know, you can cut into fresh paper if you want, and you can also make some scraps work for her sketches. You just have to cut them down individually instead of doing, you know, cutting them all from 1 or 2 sheets. So I'm glad I did that this month because it did help me kind of work through some more of that paper. So hopefully I can get that project off of my desk soon. There will be a list of the other collab team members down in the description box below, and also a link to Call Me Crafty Al's channel where you can go and find out how you can get a copy of this month's Sheetload. So please be sure to check out that information in the description box. But I thank you guys so very much for your time today, and hope you all have a very crafty day.